Hey everyone, Dan Millican here. This is not an aviation video, fair warning. I don't know where to put this video, so I'm going to put it on the Taking Off channel. But I have a lot of people calling me, asking me about the Alec Baldwin tragedy. And the reason why, some of you know, I'm a film director. I've made 5 feature films. I've worked with actors like Lou Diamond Phillips, Adam Baldwin, Yancey Butler, Mimi Rogers, Sean Patrick Flannery, Joey Lauren Adams. I've had these actors in my movies. We've used guns. We've used guns a whole bunch. We've had a lot of firing. So I'm going to answer some of the quick questions that I've been getting about this Alec Baldwin tragedy. Rule number 1 when you're working with live guns on a set: only the weapons master and that person's armorers can handle the guns until it's time for the actors to go in front of the camera. Rule number 2, no live ammunition is needed on a set ever. Number 3, go back to rules number 1 and 2. Safety is critical, because when you go back and look at like the Brandon Lee incident, it all happened because of a breakdown in safety. Just like in aviation, if you don't follow the checklist, if you don't have the proper transfer of controls, then bad things can happen. And when we had Lou Diamond Phillips on the set, and he carried around a big Desert Eagle handgun, it was very clear when the weapons master handed him the gun right before the cameras were rolling, and they checked it all the time. He didn't walk around with that gun in the holster. And as soon as I yelled cut, the weapons master, his job was to secure the weapons. And he did that immediately after we said cut. Nobody walks around with real weapons on the movie set. Somebody asked me about dummy weapons, so prop guns or rubber guns. If it's not a real gun, then no, you're not going to have the same kind of control that you'd have on a real weapon. But a starter pistol, that would be considered a real weapon. Anything that could actually, with a hammer and you can put a shell in there, I mean, that's a real weapon. So not rubber guns. Now, let's go back to the Brandon Lee accident and talk about what happened there, because some of my Hollywood actor friends, one that was there, told us exactly what happened. What had happened was you had a revolver, and that's a similar situation with Alec Baldwin. You had a revolver, and when you point that revolver at the camera, you can see in the cylinder if you've got fake rounds in there, if you've got blanks, you can see. So in a revolver situation, you actually have to put a real bullet in the revolver. But what you do is you take all the powder out and you expend the primer. So it is a total dummy slug that you put in there. Now, what can happen, like in the Brandon Lee case, is that the weapons master or armor was making sure that every primer had already been expended, and he click, click, boom. Now, it wasn't like a boom of a bullet. It's just a primer's, all it does is ignites the powder. So it's a very small little pop. And it's like, okay, good, the primer went off. But what he didn't do is he didn't check to make sure that the slug was still in the casing. What had happened is that when that primer went off, it had just enough energy to dislodge the slug into the barrel of the revolver. So then when they went around to shoot, they loaded a blank where he was going to fire. The blank went off. It had enough energy to expel that slug, penetrating Brandon Lee, who then died from the wounds. That was what happened in that situation. Totally the fault of the armorer and the weapons master. It had nothing to do with the actors involved. They were just, I hate to say it, victims in this case. Now, which then brings us to Rust and Alec Baldwin. Personally, I don't agree politically with Alec Baldwin. I don't like the stands he takes. I don't agree with him. I would not wish this on him or anybody. If he was doing what the director said to do and what the armorer said to do and what the weapons master said to do, Alec Baldwin is blameless in this. And he's going to have to live with this the rest of his days. And I have a lot of sympathy for that. Now, also hear that he's already been in touch with the cinematographer's family, the victim in this case, the woman who died, and I appreciate that, and kudos to Alec Baldwin. He's got a long road ahead of just dealing with the consequences of what had happened. So what did happen? We don't know yet. We know that a single round went off. We don't know if it was a live cartridge that was placed into the revolver we know it's not a semi-automatic because it's a Western piece. So most likely it was a revolver. I don't even know if it was a rifle, but it sounds like it was a handgun. The difference is in the revolver, I told you about it with the Brandon Lee. With a semi-automatic, you don't see the bullets. So you can have blanks all loaded up in your magazine. You put the magazine in and bang, bang, bang. Now what you do have to do is you have to restrict the barrel, because a blank does not have enough backward energy to cycle the chamber, eject the round, and pop up the next blank. So you have to have a restrictor that's hidden inside the barrel that closes it down somewhat, and only a little bit of expended powder can get through. The rest is blowback to be able to eject the round and chamber the next round. So anyway, these are what the steps that are taken for safety. It all boils down to the weapons master and the armor. Sometimes in a lower budget movie, a weapons master is the one and only. Now, like in my movie with Striking Range with Lou Diamond Phillips, we had just a weapons master. And I think when we had multiple guns, we did have one armor. But the weapons master is 100% responsible. The only other person that there would probably talk to would be the assistant director, because the first AD, the first assistant director, is the one who runs the set. They are responsible for everything. So the weapons master reports to the first AD. The camera department reports to the first AD. The art department reports to the first AD. So the first AD will be the controlling person on the set. Still not necessarily their responsibility, but we just don't know exactly what happened and exactly how this went down. One last note, there have been reports that hours before the tragedy, that some of the crew people staged a walkout or staged a protest of something because of the lack or wrong handling of the weapons. So, hopefully we'll hear more about that. But that's the report. It has nothing to do with aviation. I hope that this is okay. And just remember, stay safe out there. Superior judgment trumps superior skills. Take care.